Welcome to the InStory Show live conversations. I'm so glad you are all here. So this is day 8. No, yes, I think we're on day 8. And I'm going to, as always, introduce all of our speakers. They're going to all share who they are, what they do in the world, and then we'll go into some questions, and people who are here in the chat with us live can type questions into the chat for us. So this week is especially exciting and delightful for me because these are what I call my InStory experts, meaning they've been part of my InStory Way world, either in the Soul Story course, which is the 8-week course, or in the InStory Way year program, or in my leadership team. So today we have two groups. We have two people, Jildiz and Fiona, who have been in my Soul Story courses, and Kay and Janet, who are in my leadership team, which means they've graduated my whole year program and are now part of leading all of my courses and calls and everything for the women who come into my world. So, all right, so I'm going to have Jildiz. So we're going to start with Jildiz and Fiona, who were part of the Soul Story course. And I want you to each tell us who you are, where you live, and what you do, and then tell us like kind of a little bit of your story of why you joined the Soul Story course and how it helped you. All right, so Jildiz, you start us off.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hi, Devorah. Thank you for inviting me here. It's such an honor. And I live in New York, and I did take Soul Story twice last year. So that was amazing. I think I took it in the beginning and at the end of the year. So that was beautiful. And I do eyelashes, and I also do energy healing as a job for now. And I'm working on spiritual work, dream interpretation, and channeling, and other things that I'm still practicing. And in story, I had a friend who took your soul story, and also she took other programs. And I told her I need someone that would be like more spiritual, as well as like more custom, So I came to your one of those 9 days some programs you usually have. So I took it. I was like, wow, this woman is amazing. So there is a way of you guided, and it feels very short, but it's profound. That's how it felt for me. So I took that, and then I signed up for Soul Story. And I think it's the energy, the way you guide us to connect. And there's some presence that comes in. It's like it doesn't care about our everyday life or anything. It's just here. When you say, now connect to the present, I'm present. There's nothing else. So that's how it was for me. And do you want me to share how was the soul story, or before and after now, or that's later?
You know what? Why don't you leave it for now, and then we'll come back and we'll do a deeper dive.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Great. All right, Fiona.
Hi, everybody. My name is Fiona Robinson. I am from South Africa. And as Jildiz said, it's an absolute honor to be here. And I just want to thank Devorah for all the love and light she spreads all over the world and the consistency with which she does it. Thank you, Devorah. You're very special. And also all those joining, thank you for being here. And I want to ask you to this evening listen with your hearts, not just with your ears. And while you're doing that, just remember you matter. You matter and you are seen. That's a thing that Devorah has told us over and over again. You need to be seen. Don't hide. I did 2 rounds of the Soul Story course. I think I started about 2 years ago. And the way that I got connected to Devorah was a synchronicity itself, because I had heard about Deborah Silverman, and I thought I was Googling Deborah Silverman. Well, I was, but what came up was Devorah interviewing Deborah Silverman. And not to blow smoke up, you know where, Devorah, I actually thought, never mind Deborah, I want Devorah. And that's how I got hooked into Soul Story. And so I am a recovering left brainer. I am an occupational medical specialist by training, but saw the light and have stepped over. I always say I've crossed over into alternate healing. And I do Reiki, but I specifically call it kaleidoscope Reiki because I use Reiki as a vehicle. And why kaleidoscope? Because a kaleidoscope has got a tube with reflected surfaces, and that's the Reiki part. But it also has lots of bits and pieces inside it. And it's those bits and pieces that make the beautiful patterns that are you. And those bits and pieces for me are the spirit guides, animals, and humans that appear when I'm doing my Reiki sessions, and also that I'm called to sometimes draw oracle cards, use crystals. So those are the bits of colored glass that make it so special and give so much more insight to my clients. Thanks, Devorah.
Beautiful. I love that kaleidoscope Reiki. Ooh, so good. Okay, so now I'm going to have Kay and Janet introduce themselves, and they're both in my leadership team. So Kay, why don't you start us off?
Okay, I'm Ford Johnsen. I live in Westminster, Colorado, which is in the Denver area. And I am really starting to move forward on bringing my work into the world, thanks to Devorah. And through my work with InStory and my work as a part of the leadership team, I'm developing a 4-step program that I'm getting ready to share with the world. And if you listen and, click on my link and get my gift, I'll let you know about it by email when it's ready
It's
to
one of
go.
the featured speakers. So when you go onto the main page.
Yes, so you'll get more information. But I discovered Devorah synchronicity by accident. Now, I think it's possible I heard her interviewed on someone else's summit, or I was running low on time and just downloaded her gift. I don't actually remember, but I was in the process of deleting emails one day because I just had too many. Some of them valuable, I'm sure, but well, they just piled up too much. And for some reason, I saw Devorah Spilman and I said, well, who is she? And so I opened it up and read it. And you didn't have the soul story when I came in because it was earlier, but there was a 5-day program that I was part of and loved. And Devorah offers a free one-on-one conversation. What do you have to lose? because that was a great experience in itself. She offered, InStory, the year program, and I wasn't going to do it. I really wasn't going to do it because I couldn't afford it, but I did it. And I am so glad I did. It's been a beautiful experience. So say I was locked in my little shell thinking about these things I wanted to do, but I didn't have anyone to say, well, do it. We're going to set a deadline. The deadline is very important in a gentle way. She's very gentle. And being in the full year program, I had an opportunity to do show and tell, to basically try my work out with the other people in the group. So I would get practice and they would experiencing it and I could get feedback from them. And it has just been great. And I have gotten to help with facilitating Soul Story. So I've experienced Soul Story a few times now. And every time is such a revelation. And some women just come in thinking, I can't do this. I saw the last recital and I can't do what those women did. But by the time the 8 weeks is over and they tell their stories, they are beautiful. I haven't seen anybody who wasn't able to do it. And I have the treat of getting to experience that, to see what everyone does. So it's good times.
Yeah.
I love being here. I love being here.
Yeah.
And I love all the people I've met here. Yeah.
Yeah, those are two really important things. The connections that women make with each other and how we are always so moved by each other's stories at the 8th week. We don't think we're going to be. We don't think it's going to work. Like nobody's working on it. They don't know what to do and they can't do it. La la la. And then, like, there's when you do the deep work and you stay on it and you show up, your soul story comes to light, and it's very soul. I always say it's very soul nourishing also. It has a healing quality to the work so that you feel better. I always joke with people, it's not like school. It doesn't have like assignments that are really hard and you feel worried about. You feel like your soul is being fed and it was hungry and, so yeah, it's been fun, Kay, that you've come in the other direction into the Soul Story course and get to watch it unfold. So really, really beautiful. Okay, Janet.
Hello, everyone. My name's Janet Wilson, and I'm from Chama, New Mexico, and I go back and forth between here and Surprise, Arizona, helping my elderly parents try to cope with their medical issues. So I'm an artist and a writer and a design consultant. I've had my own consulting business my whole career. And so it's netted me a lot of flexibility because I make my own schedule. And also been an incredible experience of learning new things, new skills, whatever comes along, I tackle it. So I'm I have lots of different skill sets and I do lots of different things. So you'll find that I say I juggle a lot because that's what I do. I found Devorah in 2023, in January 2023. I fell into a really deep depression, the deepest I'd ever gone. And somehow I found out about some of these summits, and Devorah spoke in 3 or 4 of them in a row. And she's the one that I gravitated to, and we had our one-on-one. And I joined her first soul story. That was the very first one she had ever done. That was August of 23. And Paula and I joined the same soul story course. And then we both joined InStory right after soul story. So, and then I was so privileged and honored that Devorah asked me to come into leadership with her in December of 2024. So, yeah, I mean, who I am today is just totally different to who I was back then in 2023. And I'll talk about that in the next segment, but that's it's just such an honor to be here. And I'm not ready to leave yet.
Good, because we don't want you to. So, okay. So what I think I'd like to do is I want to kind of go into what I was thinking about for today. Was talking about both the idea of trusting yourself and trusting your story, and that sense of how we hide and what's helped you to trust what helps you trust yourself, right? And what helps you trust your story and to kind of come out of hiding somewhat. And so I want to go into that. And then if that takes you more into your relationship with the Soul Story course, that's fine. But I would love for you guys to share a little bit of what helps you with that. Because I think a lot of times we're so hard on ourselves and we don't notice our progress, and then we don't trust ourselves to start a new thing. Right? Or when I say trust your story, like, I don't really have anything to say, so why would I do such a, like, even though you have all this life experience, right? So, and you can kind of expand this into like just what's been hard and what's helped you move forward. But trusting yourself, trusting your story is one way to look at it. So we'll go back around to Jildiz and we'll circle back through everybody.
Okay, let's go.
And we
So,
only have a little time, so we each have to pick a little piece of it so we can get all the way around.
okay. So trusting your story, and so I think with Soul Story, what I learned is that before Soul Story, I felt I was lost in my own story, but from this little girl's perspective, or from that victim mindset, or poor me, or the mindset that is not really seeing the bigger picture, I think, whichever way we language it or label it. But being in Soul Story, what was amazing is that when you guide us, we see it from bigger perspective, from reflective side. And what was that, why that story happened and the way it happened. And then it is beautiful that I saw again how courageous I was, and in those stories, and how much is the braveness in there that I never get to see. And then when you share your story, that the and it's beautiful the way you guide, that is, sometimes it's about a picture or nature or like a crystal or like different things, but then you say what is that resonates with you. So it can be so beautiful that it also allows us to be creative, to see what, like, emerald color is different to everyone, or pink color. And to see us in a positive way, beautiful way, this royal and loyal way of seeing ourselves, rather than, all this self-critic or self-judgments way of seeing. So that was beautiful, because then I could reflect and see from bigger perspective. And then also trusting the story, I think most important is beautiful. I liked it is because when we share it in the group, then we would go to rooms. What is beautiful is that you choose the rooms with your intuition. I don't know how you choose, but you end up sharing, and everyone has like, oh my God, yes, yes. Like they have their own aha moments with someone else's story. And you have your own aha moment, and it's like 3 4 people together. It's like so many light bulbs, and it's kind of, then you think, oh wow, I'm not alone. And
Yeah.
then other people are moved with your story, and they reflect on it, and they never seen you, it's just Zoom call, and then they feel your energy, they feel you before, the way they share, and then they give different perspective, and then you trust yourself, and then you can leave with those compliments, putting it in your pocket, and the way you get it. Because I think it's beautiful the way you guide. We get the experience of feeling, oh, that story was significant, and this is how I feel. But then when people give their what they get, I feel like that's an extra compliment, because it's easy to take now because I already felt it. And other things, because people can always say, oh, you're amazing, brave, beautiful, but then I think if we don't experience and we don't feel it ourselves, it's hard for us to trust it.
Right.
So that was a beautiful way of doing it. And I think when that happened, I felt like I could trust your guidance, and I could go higher. And then I was end up most of the time I was going to different dimensions, different layers, and it was so spiritual. But then I was like, then I would question, how has this happened? I went so high up, and then the energy, sometimes I wouldn't want to come back, or sometimes during that week I would do the same uh, practice that you would give us. And then one time, a lot of time was really significant. One time I remember I was cooking, and then I did the practice. I went so high up, and it was just continuous of what we had in the class, and I ended up meeting my higher self.
Wow.
It was so significant, and I hugged her, and she was so tall and beautiful, and she had that's how I saw it, right? And it was a flowy dress. And then when I came back, I didn't know what to do. I went to a couch, and then I came back. I ate so much so fast in a minute, and then I went back to the couch, and I cried. And then then I lay down and I was like, oh my God, this is how it feels. The love, the like, you know, God's love or universe love or creator's love or whatever is that. I was like, wow, that's how it feels. I felt sad for a little bit, few days because of that. And then that is how significant is that with the trust, slowly you go and you can go as far as however you want. And
Yeah.
being able to try see other people's stories, and then it was so beautiful how other women share, and then you get so happy for them to create their story and to write, and some of them are so beautiful and they're creators, and this is that little nudge. They're like, oh, I can write my children book now, I can write my poem better or this. So it's so inspiring. There was a last one we had, I forgot her name. She was saying that her book is finished, but she had to revisit. But then she needed you to come to this place and to feel that. And then she said that book was 2, 3 years, and then she just finished it over the weekend to revising it. So you
Victoria.
hear that and you moved. So I think it's so beautiful to be in this, in your experience in Soul Story. And I can only imagine if that's what I'm getting in Soul Story, what it is like to be in 1 year school. And also Paula and Janet and Kai, they're always beautiful. And the way you guide and question and give the space.
Yeah,
I
and
think
there comes a time when that it's like it's so great to start in the soul story course, and then you'll find, Jildiz, you'll finish one thing, and then it'll be time, right? And then you'll come into the year like each thing has its place,
yeah.
and then you feel that shift, and then you say, okay, now I'm going to do this, and so you feel like it builds, and like your ground is at a higher place, Jildiz, than where it was before. Like just
Yes.
emanate from is just so, amazing. And you have what you I'm cooking and my higher self is coming to like
Yes, that's true.
so beautiful. All right. Thank you, my dear. All right, Fiona.
Thank you. When I came into the Soul Story course, I was sort of wafting around. I didn't actually, I knew I was looking for something, but I wasn't actually quite sure what I was looking for. But from the very first guided process that we did, I was absolutely blown away because I've done many guided meditations, many guided processes, but this was so powerful. I'd never experienced such amazing insights and colors and visions. And I usually am not a visual person. I feel things I don't usually see. And suddenly I was seeing infinity signs and rainbow colors and crystals and funny creatures. And I met one of my guides who happened to be Yoda, which made me laugh so much. And he's still with me, and he can be quite cheeky and quite ferocious sometimes. But what I did find, I found what my deep, deep gift is, and that's the gift of knowing. And from that very first session, actually, when I reflected back, when people were telling their stories, I suddenly started seeing things about them, and I could actually tell them. And I was actually brave enough to tell them that. And most of them resonated so much with it. I was blown away. I was transformed after the very first session. And I then started realizing that I'd known since I was very little, but I've always just disregarded it. Maybe through conditioning, as you go along. Yeah, our schooling system, they tell you what to think, not how to think, and certainly not how to feel. And even when I was doing Reiki, earlier on, I was just following the protocol. There was very little feeling or sensing or getting any messages. And suddenly I started getting this knowing. Well, I had always, but suddenly I started noticing it and noticing what value it had and what value it had to the clients. And some of the things that came through were actually quite weird. And I'd like think, yo, can I really tell this person this? And then I'd get guided, yes, yes, say it, say it. And the responses I was getting were so amazing. So, yes, it changed my practice tremendously, my practice of Reiki, and to the benefit of other people, which I am so, so pleased about. I'll be eternally grateful. The other thing that it gave me was my tribe. I mean, I never knew there were people I could talk to about these type of things, that wouldn't go onto screen save and think this woman's lost it, you know. And I'm still in contact with them, and one of those very special friends is on tonight. Hi, Lynn. So nice to see you. And yes, we've formed a sisterhood. We call ourselves the Soul Sisters. So yes, this has given me so much and so much more. Thank you.
It's a joy, Fiona, and I've experienced her work, and it is definitely a kaleidoscope of Reiki. It's so interesting and wonderful. So, thank you, dear. Okay, Kay, do you want to talk a little bit about just how you've developed, how you have, and how what helps people develop that trust in themselves and in their story, like that?
Oh, well, I mean, I have gone through many years of, well, I have my own little niche where I feel okay about myself, but then I feel like I'm not enough. I look at all these highly trained people with their sophisticated and rare modalities that they know all about, and I'm going, wow, I'm just, well, as those who know me know, I'm giraffe in a room full of unicorns is my little, because I feel like the giraffe. And I have been educated and educated myself in the beauty of the giraffe, but that I won't have to get into that right now. But the giraffe is wonderful. And that is my place, because I trust myself in knowing the giraffe has a high perspective, but is very grounded. And that's where I belong. I don't belong with the people who have the deep, deep training in their sophisticated modalities. I'm kind of better at going to a beginner's mind. That's kind of my place. With recognizing that we are enough. We are all enough in our own way. It's a very different thing for each individual. And I have to recognize my own version. And meanwhile, love the diversity of all the women sitting here right now and all the different perspectives where we can love each other and connect with each other and create a whole that is so deep with all the different things that each woman brings to the group. And I know that it just came to me as Fiona was talking. And I have mentioned before many times, one of the things I have more experience in is facilitating journal workshops. And so often when I do that, there's at least one woman that, well, number one, when you're writing a journal, it's very private. You don't need to worry about sharing it with somebody else if you don't want to. However, I ask people if they want to share, and there's always at least one woman. I'm not a writer. I can't write. So I don't want to share, and I don't think I want to tell people about this. And the sub message is that they'll think I'm crazy. you know. And as we go around a room and other people share, so most of the time that person says, "Oh, okay, I will share that with you."
Yeah.
And it creates a wonderful bond. And it just came to me somehow, it popped through my mind as Fiona was talking, well, I've been doing that. I have what I do. And I'm looking at everybody else's wonderfulness, wholly legitimate wonderfulness, and thinking, well, not me. And I go, well, hey, you've been telling other people this when they journal. This is for when you do put yourself out with who and what you are. And trust. There are others out there who need your message. So that's my feeling, I think, on that general subject.
Yeah.
Trust my story, that it's not what everybody else's is.
Right.
But let's let's get down here with the giraffes. I take him with me, or her. This is a female. I've been informed. I keep her on my desk to remind myself. It's okay.
Right. Like it's like that moment. I remember that moment where you said I had this image like they're all unicorns and I'm a giraffe. I was like, you're a giraffe? You know, because a lot of times we're so hard on ourselves and someone else goes, really? You do that? Then
Well, and we shared our love of the same children's book called Giraffes Can't Dance.
right.
So if you think giraffes can't dance, read that children's book and we find out at the end that giraffe can dance.
Right. Exactly. Right. And there's these delightful moments that snap you out of an old pattern in a surprising way. So that was such a good one. Okay. Okay.
Fiona said, I don't even remember specifically what it was. I went, oh, wait a minute. And that's what we do with each other.
Right.
In the groups. I think somebody else's statement will trigger something in you, and
Right.
what you say will trigger something in somebody else.
Right. It really allows you to see how what you said moved somebody else. Because we're not sure about that. And it's hard to know ahead of time that will all these things that really move me move others. And I'm always saying if it moves you, it will move your tribe. But if you never get in front of your tribe, you don't know. And so it rewires that negative voice going, oh my gosh, I can't pretend this isn't true because I just watched them be moved. I heard what they said to me. And so it becomes true. And then things that seemed impossible become possible. Then, Janet, you are a good example of that. So talk a little bit about the places you've been since you joined the Soul Story course the first time.
First, I just want to say that I had never done anything like this before. I've always not ever fit in. And when I would try, I would be so wounded by the end of whatever I was trying to fit in with that I developed that I don't trust people. And so to come into Soul Story was a huge risk that I was taking. And I'm very quiet. I'm very introverted. I'm very shy. And people even now still call me a hermit. But I began to find my voice, and I especially remember some of the things I would get in the guided process where it would just be this big tree because I'm very connected to nature, and that's where I find my strength. And so I would say, well, I got this tree and there was this and this and this. And I must have felt like it must have come across like I was downplaying it, even though it was very special to me. But Devorah would laugh and I would go, why are you laughing? Because here I am, I'm bearing this thing that I got that I don't usually talk to anybody about. And she goes, because you think it's so insignificant and it's so powerful. And I couldn't see it that way. So little by little, I gained more courage and I started trusting people, and especially the women in this group, and all the women who come in, time after time into the next soul story or whatever. So, yeah, when I was in that depression, I wrote out my end game, and the end game was to travel to Nepal and India, the two top places I had always wanted to go. And it was incredible how all the pieces fell together like a sign. This is it. This is what you've been meant to do. And from there, more doors opened and more opportunities opened. And I've ended up going back to India two other times. And this weekend, I'm meeting the family who traveled here from India. And I do art workshops with the children in a boarding school there. And then from there, I've been to Mongolia, Bhutan. I have a fascination with climbing high peaks. So I did Tiger's Nest in Bhutan. I didn't climb a mountain in Mongolia, but I did in Thailand on my way back. And then I just finished climbing Kilimanjaro in February. Um, it's just the world has opened up to me. And I spoke in my first International Women's Summit last December, which was terrifying. One thing to be in a small group of, 8 to 10 people and do a soul story show, but to think that you're on an international summit with all of these speakers, I was just in my wings. I'm just going to say that.
Good. So all this is to show all of you that the more that you feel inside you is possible. Like there's just more that's possible. It's hard to do it when we try to do it all alone. And almost all of us have gone through a phase of trying to figure it out all by ourselves. I call it the spin cycle. You're at home and you're thinking about it and you're watching some things and you're trying it out and it's all just going around and around in your head and in your living room and it never goes out. And one of the things that happens in both the Soul Story course and the InStory year is that you have to come out of hiding and be seen, either in the storytelling recital or be like this, or on the InStory show. You see the speakers this week, they are women who've come into InStory, be committed to shining a bigger part of their soul light out in the world. And that's what we want for everybody. That's what we want to invite everyone to have the courage to follow the calling of your soul and say yes to your soul. So I like to wrap up by having everybody just leave us with one last little thought. Not a big thought, but like just a piece of inspiration for our audience before we wrap up. So we'll go back around. So Jildiz, a little piece of thought inspiration that you want to leave everybody with.
I would say if they're watching this and if they feel like a little notch, and sometimes they call it intuition or knowing or gut feeling, and if they feel like they like you or certain characters of you or other women here who are in the supervisors or how do you call in leadership.
Yeah.
And also, if something touched them when we are speaking, just follow that. Sometimes that's just enough. Just one gesture of your hands is like, oh, I like that, because it's like, oh, I don't want to be someone who's so stiff or, But so just following their intuition, what is in there, and trusting that their story is beautiful and it's so significant, like you said. And every person's story is so beautiful. But then, like me, I was seeing it from little girl's story that it's not good, but some people see it differently, and it's not moving, but it is beautiful and it moves people. It is wonderful. Maybe someone else need to hear that story, or maybe you just need it yourself and your friends need it, or your family, or even just to say it, to share it with confidence. This is my story and this is my life and I own it, and I have accountability and responsibility for it.
Yeah, beautiful, Jildiz. Yeah, because it doesn't feel good to stay stuck for a long time. So when you finally have the courage to take an action and move forward, it's like, oh my God. First it's like, what have I done? And then it's like, oh, phew. So beautiful. Okay, Fiona.
To borrow a phrase from a well-known brand, just do it. What ask yourself tonight, what if I just did it? What if I just phoned Devorah? What if I got unstuck? What are the possibilities? Just do it.
Right. It's good. And it makes a difference to have encouragement and to feel like we're not alone in things. So beautiful. Thank you, Fiona. Okay.
Oh, well, I would encourage everyone to trust themselves. And I have been through more than one generation. Some people were here before me, and many have passed through since I started. And I think I haven't encountered a single person who can't be trusted to respect you wherever you are in your life. And the friendships and the connections across the planet, because we're not all from the same place.
Right.
It's wonderful to have this kind of group and meet each other where we could not otherwise. South Africa, New Zealand, New York, all these places. And I believe something I thought of when I was preparing to be a speaker is nothing can happen while you're sitting in your cocoon. I mean, you may be melting into goo, as a caterpillar does, but if you stay in that cocoon, nothing can happen. It can only happen when you get out of the cocoon. And it may not be comfortable. There are times when I don't know, should I do this? But yeah, do it. Get out. Get out, because there's so much more joy out here in the world.
So true. So true. Okay, Janet.
I guess I just want to say that if you're really struggling and you're stuck, don't suffer alone. Don't stay there trying to figure it out when it is so incredibly different if you just let one person know who can help you figure it out. I mean, like for me, I kind of trusted myself, but I didn't trust myself around other people because I'd been hurt so many times. I didn't know who I could trust. And then, so I just take one more chance and let somebody else in so that you're not trying to do it by yourself alone. Yep. It makes a world of difference.
Yes, it does. And what's so amazing now is that we can find each other. Like that's what I love about summits like this is that we can actually find each other. And I don't think that it was so much harder before for us to find each other. And you were limited to who lived nearby and was handy. And often the people who live nearby we might love them. They might be in our family or synagogues, churches, schools, but they are often not the ones doing this new expansive work that we're interested in. And so you are invited to just say yes to your soul, to what's calling you forward. If you want to talk to me, you'll see my soul story sessions available for you to reach out to. You'll find these other women in the InStory World Facebook group, and some of them are on the show. Stay connected, reach out to somebody who really makes a difference for all of you. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the live stream formally, and then we'll hang out for just a couple minutes when you're on live. So for everybody watching in the recording and everyone here, take this all in, trust yourself, as we say, and remember to go